Hello, online crew. Let's talk today about what most people don't realize about how to get more reach out of Reels. There's a lot of people creating Reels that they don't get much engagement, they don't get much organic reach, and they don't really know how to change it or get better results. So I want to talk about that today, because if you're going to go to the trouble of doing short form video, Reels, whether that be on Instagram or TikTok, or maybe you even repurpose that video to Reels, Facebook, and maybe you even repurpose that video to TikTok. There's a formula to kind of help it get some traction and then get pushed out to more people. Okay, so not all Reels are sent out equally to your audience, whoever's following you. There's something that they do, like the platforms do, in the first 2 seconds of your reel, and if it kind of achieves that, then you'll get more reach out of it. So a lot of people are looking at their reels saying, I don't get any views. What's wrong with my content? And they're really focusing on the content piece. But what I want to share with you about Reels, if you're doing them, and if you're not doing them, you should be doing them and potentially doing more of them, because they're the fastest way for you to grow an audience and to get outside the people that are already following you. So if you've got a goal to really kind of boost your business in 2026, grow your audience, get your content in front of new people, get more engagement, things like that, like short form video is where it's at. Okay. If you missed my live video from a couple of days ago, I did share with you that I'm doing a free boot camp next week on Reels, and I'm going to be sharing like the things that I'm sharing with you like today. It's going to be full of all of those kind of tips that are important to you. And I'll get to what you need to realize about Reels in a minute, the topic of this video. But if you need to learn more about Reels, all the intricacies of Reels, maybe you're doing them, but you're not having much success with them, or you're just not really sure how to put them together, then come and join me next week for my free Reels bootcamp. It's only 3 days. If you're at US, Canada, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like afternoon, evening, depending on your time zone. Australia and New Zealand, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this time. Okay, so just a heads up, if you are watching this video from my business page or YouTube or Instagram, I will not be live on any of those platforms next week at all, because I'll only be live in my group next week doing the bootcamp, the Reels bootcamp. It's completely free. So if you want to learn more about Reels and the kind of content that I'm sharing today, then come and join me. I'll just put on Facebook, I can show it. On Instagram, I can't. But if you go to helenmartinonline.com/Reels bootcamp, you can register for free and get all the details. Okay, so that's helenmartinonline.com/Reels bootcamp. But let me get back to sort of the topic. Your very first 2 seconds of your reel are what matters most. So if people come across your reel and they pause in that 2 seconds, they engage like quite quickly, they don't scroll on, the longer that they stay on, the more your reel is going to be pushed out. If someone gets to the end of your reel, like they've watched the whole thing, then you're going to get even more reach again. But the thing you need to pay attention to when you're putting reels together is the very first 2 seconds. Now, all really anybody can absorb in the first 2 seconds is your hook and what you're doing visually. Okay, so they're the 2 things that you really want to focus on, the hook and the visual. And this is why a lot of people that create reels say like movement, or like your face, you doing something, an expression, or even something shocking is okay. Like anything to attract people's attention in those first 2 seconds is what's going to get your reel more reach. Okay. It's not actually like after those first 2 seconds, it's what you're saying, or it's the rest of the content. Like if you're doing B-roll and you're putting like words on the screen, that's not actually the most important part of your reel. The most important part of your reel is the visual and the hook. So never underestimate like what a hook is. And I'll give you an example. I was looking at some, and I'm sure she won't mind me sharing. I was on a call with a team member yesterday, and we were kind of looking at her reels and looking at her covers and her hooks, and I could tell straight away that they weren't hitting the mark. So we came up with a whole new strategy of, for her hooks. And what you want to concentrate on with the hook, like what stops your scroll? Like think about it from your perspective. If something's a little bit, so think about this when you're creating hooks for your reels. If it's a little bit confusing, or if it's a little bit vague, if it doesn't really hit a pain point of some, or it's not shocking in some way, like it's not really attention grabbing, people will scroll on. If people scroll by like they see your reel and they scroll straight away, it'll fall flat. Okay, so the very first 2 seconds of your reels is what you want to concentrate on. And I'll say it again, the two things that people absorb in those first 2 seconds is what the visual is of the reel. So think about that. And also the hook that's on the reel. Now with your hooks, like I could do a whole training on hooks, and we'll dive deeper into this in the free boot camp next week if you want to learn more about this. But it's really kind of addressing the problem, calling out something, saying something controversial, something that people wouldn't expect, that they want to keep watching. You want to keep your audience intrigued enough to keep watching your reel. And if they get to all the way through your reel, then you're going to get even more reach. If somebody engages, more reach, etc. But just likes, something that's kind of just popular, like it might be something that's popular and it gets a lot of likes, that doesn't override those first 2 seconds of somebody staying and absorbing the content and continuing to watch. Okay, does that make sense? The other thing is, how are you addressing human connection in your reels? So what's happening with reels in this day and age, and this is the kind of content that I'm going to give next week on the Reels Bootcamp, is how to get traction these days with reels, is you talking, you giving value. B-roll videos are still really good. So what we mean by B-roll video is a little video footage with some words, on the front. They still work incredibly well. But in the mix, you want to preferably bring in some talking reels, because the algorithm will favor human connection. Okay. But how you can do those, and get people's attention is like how you actually, I'll share all of this in the bootcamp next week, but how you do those kind of videos really well. So you're not just staring at the screen. I've got Instagram over here, staring at the screen, just talking, reading a script. Like that doesn't really grab people's attention. Okay. So you want to have a little bit of movement and a little, bit of animation. People stress about reels with talking reels with, well, how do I remember what I'm going to say? There's teleprompters, there's all sorts of things that you can do, but just recording a snippet and pausing it and then recording another snippet and you're looking a different way, like all of that is like, if you watch reels, have you watched reels where people are like kind of, it's different kind of shots and they're slightly different angle when they're talking, but it's just in a 15-second reel? That's all deliberate to keep people's attention. So there's lots of things to help you have more successful reels. If that's not really happening for you and that's not in your wheelhouse at the moment. And that's all the kind of stuff that I'll be sharing next week in the Reels Bootcamp. So if you want to join us, we've got a workbook for this next week. So again, I won't be live on Instagram at all next week, or my business page or YouTube. I'll only be live next week delivering this in my group. It's completely free. So day one, we're going through kind of, understanding reels and why you would want to create them. Day two, I'm going through the different types of reels that you could create, features of reels and examples of reels. And then day three, we are going through essential elements for your reels to be effective. So all kind of tips like I'm going through right now. Okay. So if you want to register for that, go to helenmartinonline.com/reels bootcamp and join me next week to get all the latest and greatest, with reels. As I shared in my live video a couple of days ago, short form video is how I'm getting all my leads at the moment. So I wake up every morning to leads, overnight. I gave you the example a couple of days ago. A video of mine had only been up for 12 hours and I had 75 leads the next morning. Like, short form video is something that you want to learn how to do, but you could go to all the time, effort and trouble of putting like reels together and it can completely fall flat. Don't get me wrong. There are videos of mine that don't always, get leads or do well. That's just, you're in the hands of the algorithm and the content that you can create. But if you learn a lot of the strategies that I'm going to go through next week, you'll be like 5 steps ahead of everybody else creating reels that are not working. Okay. So, for those of you that are creating reels, I hope this helps. Like, just really think about that and what I said about how you can get more reach out of your reels and try to just hone in your strategy to adapt to that. And all these kind of tips is what I'm going through in the free Reels Bootcamp next week. So join me for that. Again, helenmartinonline.com/Reels Bootcamp. It costs you nothing. The videos will be up for 7 days. So if you can't join me live, don't stress. You can watch the recordings. But if you want all the details, the workbook, the times, the Facebook group, all the rest of it, just register at helenmartinonline.com/Reels Bootcamp. Okay. I hope to see a lot of you there. Okay. Bye.